51. Instructions of Prahlad Maharaj to his classmates. And we read how he was explaining, or rather instructing them to perform devotional service. And he said that without that, there is no gain in life. Whatever you do, it will be lost along with the body. Body is the basis of material existence, and body along with all its modifications, products, possessions, relations, they all come to an end at the time of death. And said that what we consider as artha, desirable, that is actually undesirable, because it only deviates you from your ultimate goal of life. Therefore he said that whether somebody is a deva, asura, yaksha, rakshasa, gandharva, everybody should engage only in devotion to Mukunda, and that only will bring perfection in life. So now one may say that what about somebody is born as a Brahmana? Olden days, taking birth as a Dvija was very important, fortunate. So why they have to perform devotion? Or somebody is a Deva or sage. So he says that none of these things can actually help you. He says, Nalam Dujatvam Devatvam Rishitvam Vasuratmaja Krinanaya Mukundasya Navrittam Nandahubhyata. Says that Lord Mukunda cannot be pleased by high birth or position or even being a sage. If one is a sage but not a devotee, then there are so many sages who also fell down, had problems in their life. So this is not the cause of his pleasure, nor that somebody is a very great scholar, bahugyata, or somebody is very expert in working. He says none of these things can ultimately please the Lord. All these qualities, they are good if they are along with devotion. But if somebody is only a sage or a deva or a dvija, but a non-devotee, then it is not the cause of his pleasure. Because Lord is not pleased by any of these things. On the other hand, there are people, Hanuman is not a deva, or the gopis were not learned scholars, but he was pleased with them because of the bhakti. So therefore it says, Nalam Dujattam Devattam Vishattam Vasuratmaja Prinamaya Mukundasya Navrittam Na Bhugyata. So Sri Vishwanath Chakravarti says, Prinananalam Samartham Ityartha. So these things do not have the capacity to please him. Na danam, na tapo, na jya, na shocham, na vratani cha, priyate malya bhaktya, hariranya vidamana. Also not giving charity. Some people were very charitable. You know the story of King Nirga. He was very charitable. But then he also has to become a lizard. So charity, if it is not done for Lord or his devotees, then that also cannot help him. Na tapo, performing tapasya, austerities. Sabri Muni was performing big austerity sitting inside Yamuna river. So he also had problem. Naijya, or doing worship, na shaucham na vratani cha, or following the principles of cleanliness, following vratas. So these are not the cause of pleasure. Then what pleases him? He says, na priyate amalaya bhaktya. Only amala bhakti, pure devotion, pleases him. There is nothing else which pleases him. And hariranyad vidambana. Everything else is useless. Vidambana means just a show. So just like you have plastic flowers. So they look nice, but there is no fragrance. So similarly, all these activities of charity, worship, or cleanliness, or following vratas. In India especially there are a lot of vratas people do. But if it is not to please the Lord, if it is not done as an act of devotion, then it will not bring much benefit. Maybe you can get some material benefit, either in this world or after death, but nothing substantial, because it does not please the Lord. So therefore it says, Vidambanam punsha pratyut tiraskar karanam. So it says, Vidambana actually, he translates it that it is even cause of disrespect to him. Not only that Lord is not pleased, but he feels disrespected. Because he is the source of everybody. So Sakshat Prabham Ishwaram na ujananti, na bhajanti avjananti, sthanat bhrashta patanti. He is the source of everyone. Aham sarvasya prabhamakta sarvam prabhakta, pitahamya jagata mata dhata pitama. So if we do not care for him and we give respect to someone else, it's like if there is a father and he has a son, and he is taking care of the son, and the son disrespects the father and he respects the neighbor, doesn't care for the father, then father will not please very much with that behavior. So similarly, if one is worshipping some other devas or doing vrata for someone else, not to Krishna, then he says that it is only vidambana, it's useless show or hypocrisy, ultimately cause of disrespect to the Lord. So why to do anything like this? What is that one will gain from that? Nothing much is going to come from that. So therefore he says, Tato harau bhagavati bhaktim kuruta danava atma pammena sarvatra sarvabhuta atmanishwar. So here again and again he is repeating the same thing. He says, therefore, O Danavas, perform bhakti to Lord Hari, who is Bhagavan. So this is what you must do. It's not option. It is compulsory. Bhakti is not something that you can do or not do. It's actually compulsory for every living being. And if you don't follow that, then there's only problem. So whether one likes or not, because this is what gives ultimate benefit. One may say, well, this is being very fanatic or sectarian. But the reason is that Bhagavatam began with this very question, that what is that one thing which pleases us completely. So, Atma Samprasidati, Bruhina Shaddadhana Nami, Atma Samprasidati. He says, please tell us, Bhurini Bhuri Karmani Shotavyana Bhavasha. There are so many different types of karmas described in the Shastra. So many duties, so many types of charities, vratas described. Tell us what is the sar. Samudrityat saram. what is the essence, and that essence by following which we will become completely satisfied. So in the very beginning Sutta Goswami has answered that Savitvam Shantaro Dhamma Yato Bhakti Radhokshadaya Prati Hataya Atma Samprasinati. That one should only perform bhakti, but somehow it does not get into the brain of people. So he is telling this again and again. This is at least fourth or fifth time in this chapter he has said, perform bhakti to Hari, perform bhakti to Hari. So why he is pressing this? Because it does not enter into our brain. So he says that, and then he gives how to do it. He says if you cannot do anything else, he says Atmapamena Sarvatra. Sarvam Sarvabhutatmani Ishwar. He says that you treat others as you will be treated by others. Atmapamena means comparing with yourself. So as you know that something gives you pain or something gives you pleasure, it also happens to others. You don't like to hear criticism, then don't criticize others. You don't like somebody is envious of you, then don't be envious of others. So even if you cannot do anything else, just do this much. So Atmapannena Sarvatra Sarvabhutatma Ni Ishware. So Lord, He is the Sarvabhutatma, because ultimately it is He who is situated in everyone. So try to see that He is situated in everyone, and if you can just see His presence in everybody, then this is itself bhakti. Especially to the Danavas, he is saying this. So this mentality is there in us also, the mentality of the Danavas, or Rakshasas, or Asuras. So this mentality that everything is only for me, and for my pleasure, I can exploit others, I can harm others, I can even kill others. So much killing of animals just because I want to satisfy my taste. So Sarvabhutatmani Ishware. Atma. Very simple principle.
This is also giving Atma. This is also giving the Atma. By seeing God everywhere.
Yes. Because then you will not cause harm to anybody. You give respect. In 11th Canto, Krishna says that you give respect to everybody. He says even to a donkey. Fall on the floor and pay respect. So you have to follow something. So Bhagavatam is very interesting because it brings this point again and again. Point of bhakti and point of seeing God all around. Because in the very beginning Bhagavatam says that the supreme dharma is free from envy. Nirmatsaranam satam. Right? So this is the path of people who are nirmatsar, who are non-envious. And envy is very prominent inside us. Sometimes we may think I am not envious. It's nice to think like this. But it does not mean that you are envious all the time. Envy comes, it's like the seeds are lying in the ground. So they get fructified when there is little rain, warmth. It is too cold, then they don't fructify. But that does not mean that there are no seeds. Nothing is growing. When the time comes, they grow. So these things are lying inside us, and we may not get the chance for even years, and we may become convinced that I am free from envy. But when the time will come, then immediately it will jump out without your mind. Like Sabri Muni, he was performing tapasya for a long time, and he may have believed that he is free from lust. And then suddenly it came out, and so strong that it just captivated him fully. So this is the formula for non-envy. So Krishna in 12th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, when he starts speaking about the devotees, he says Advaishta Sarvabhutanam Karunamitra Evacha. That first thing he says is Advaishta, not envious. Sarvabhutanam, towards all living beings. So here is another formula. So Atmopannena Sarvatra Atmopannena Samam Pashyati Sayogi Paramamata. In Bhagavad Gita also Krishna says this, that one who sees everyone with the formula of Atmopanna, comparing with oneself, he says he is a supreme yogi. Atmopannena Sarvatra Samam Pashyati Yogi Sukham Vayadiva Dukkham Sayogi Paramamata. So people are already suffering because of their karma. Everybody. Why create more suffering? You must be tolerant. So he says that this is very pleasing to the Lord. The Lord is very much pleased by this. So that's why he says that one who worships only in the deity and does not respect the devotees or existence of the Lord in everything, then sa bhakto prakrito santa archayami evas arye shraddhayo shraddhaya ihita namya shuteshu bhaktesu sa bhakto prakrito santa. So one who can only perceive the presence of Lord only in the archa and not in other places, then he is considered as a neophyte. So progress in devotion is to feel the presence of your Ishta Devata everywhere. And more you can feel it, more progressed you are. So we begin seeing at least in the deity, we don't even feel him there, and we have not even started. So at least see in the deity form, and then we can see in other places, in Guru, in cow, in Brahmana, in fire, many of these places which are described in Shastra. So you can see his presence more in that, but ultimately he is everywhere. So this is one principle which is repeated here very much. So therefore it says, Tato haro bhagavati bhaktim kuruta danava. It says, my dear Danavas, perform bhakti to Hari. And then they say, how we have to do it? We don't know anything. So he says, if you don't know anything, just take this simple formula. This you cannot say, I don't know this. So Atmapannena Sarvatra. So seeing everywhere according to one's own comparison. So we all have feelings of happiness, distress, So at least we can apply this principle if we don't know anything. It's very simple. complicated. Atmopanyena ityatra sukh dukhadi drishtya iti shesha. So it's not Chakravarti says comparing with ourselves means seeing from the point of view of happiness and suffering. That is the main thing, that if something causes me pain, it causes to others also, so I should not do that to others. If something is pleasing to me, it must be pleasing to others. Let me do that to them. So at least one begins with this principle. And then one will learn more. Daitaya yaksha rakshansi striya shudra vrajau kashaha khaga mriga papa jivaha santi hi achyutam gata. So he says, by following bhakti, then daityas, yakshas, rakshasas, women, sudra, village people, birds, animals, and those who have taken sinful birth, they all attained infallible position. So that means to attain success, it is not necessary that one has to be born in a specific species or specific class or social status. None of these things is necessary. So no one can say, well, I am this, I am that, I will do bhakti next life. So no excuse. So Dateya means the sons of Diti, or those who come in the line of Diti. Datya, Dateya, same thing. Yaksha, Rakshasa, these are all considered as people who are very materialistic oriented. And Stri, and Shudra, and Rajaukasha, cowherd people, bird and animals, or other sinful birds. So they have all attained perfection. So Sri Vishnu says, Nacha bhakti hi sanjatyadikam apekshate, sajjatyadikam apekshate. So he says bhakti is not dependent on any high birth or high position. If you have to attain heaven, then high birth is helpful, because you can follow Vedic principles, you can study the Vedas. But in bhakti, there is no need. Datayati achyutatam chinmaya sharirattvena achyutatulyatvam. So achyutata means that you will get spiritual body, and thus you will not die again, there will be no fall down. So you become like Achyuta himself. That is the meaning of Achyuta. So just as Krishna. So Mad Bhavaya Upapadyate. Krishna says he attains Mad Bhava. It becomes like me. So Mad Bhakto Mad Bhavaya Upapadyate. A devotee attains a form like me or position like me. Achyutta achyutim gatim gata karmanaiva na chuta. So then they do not fall down like those who follow the path of karma. But whatever you attain by karma, then you have to come down. So there is a statement here on Kashi Khanda of Skanda Purana. Nachyavanteya chayad bhakta mahatyan pralayapadi ato chuto khale loke vidvad bhi pariyate. So devotees are called Achyuta. Devotees are supposed to have Achyuta Gotra because they do not fall down even in the great dissolution. When the whole universe is dissolved, they don't fall into Prakriti. So that is the meaning of Achyuta. And then the last verse of this chapter, Etavaneva lokesmin punsa swartha paraha smrita ekanta bhaktir govinde yata sarvatrata dikshanam. So he says that this in itself is the real swartha for every human being. So swartha is something which we like, means selfishness. He says this is the highest selfishness. Selfishness means something which I like. Selfish people do things which they like to do, which is pleasing to them. So what is the highest selfish goal? He says Ekanta Bhakti Govinde Yat Sarvatra Vikshana. To have Ekanta Bhakti. And to see him everywhere. Again, Sarvatra Tadikshana. Ekanta Bhakti. Ekanta Bhakti means bhakti only to him. Not that bhakti to Krishna, bhakti to Kali also, and then also to Ganesh. So Ekanta Bhakti. One point in devotion to Govinda makes it very clear. Ekanta Bhakti Govinda. And what is the outcome of that? Yat Sarvatra Tadikshana. Then you see him everywhere. And you see that it is he who is present in everything. It is he who is manifest in this. Yes. So Prahlad will speak this in the next chapter. Because when he will meet his father will be very angry. So he will ask, where is this Vishnu you are talking about? He said, everywhere. And then say, is he in this pillar? And he said, yes. So okay, I will disprove it. That's why he breaks it out of anger. So Prahlad is actually seen. Satyam vidhatu bhakta bhashitam. Satyam vidhatu nritya bhashitam. To make the statement of his servant as true, Lord Nrsimha appeared. In vyaptim cha bhuteshu akhileshu cha. And to show that he actually exists everywhere. So this was the proof he gave it. So Ekant Bhakti or Ananya Bhakti. Ananya Bhakti means no Anya. Anya means other. Anya Bhakti means Bhakti to other. Ananya not to other, only to Krishna. Yat yasyam bhakto satyam sarvatrayo sthavar jangam vastu sutta dikshana. So when you perform this bhakti, then says that you see him everywhere, movable or immovable objects. Tadikshanam bhagavato bhavna paripakena bhagavadikshana. So because of your perfection in devotion, then you see the Lord, everything. As it is said, Narayana mayam dhira pashyanti paramarthinaha jagadhanmayam lubdha kamaka kamanimayam. So he says that the devotees of Lord Narayana, they see him everywhere. He said just like a person who is looking for money, who wants to make money, he sees money everywhere. His only mind thinks, how can I get money in this place? He sees only from the money point of view. And kamukaha kamini maya. Those who are lusty, then for them everywhere there is woman. They only see woman. So like that devotee sees, because whatever is your bhava, then you see that. Our vision is, our understanding, our perception is not neutral. We see things only according to our bhava. So when our bhava is bhakti bhava, then we see the Lord. When our bhava is something else, then we see that. So this Jagat is called Bhavanamaya Jagat, or the world which is seen according to one's own mood. So when your mood changes, then things also change. So once there was a person, he was reciting Ramayana. Because Ramayana was composed by Valmiki, even when Lord Ramchandra was present personally. And then he taught this to Lava and Kusha because they were born in his ashram. Lord Ramchandra has banished Sita because of the Vasaman's comment. So Sita gave birth to his twin brothers in the ashram of Valmiki. And Valmiki had already written the story of Lord Rama, and then he taught it to these two children, although they did not know about many things. So Ramayana became popular in the life of Lord Ramchandra. Lord Ramchandra ruled for 11,000 years. So once somebody was reciting Ramayana, and Hanuman was very fond of hearing Rama, story of Rama. Yatra yatra Raghunath kirtanam tatra tatra mastakanam vasupara parituna netra marutam. Wherever there is kirtan, recitation of Ramayana, and Hanuman is present there. He always is so fond of listening to the story because he loves Lord Ram. So when he was reciting, he was describing the garden, Ashoka Vatika, where Sita was kept. And in the description, it came that there were very nice white lotus flowers. So Hanuman was sitting there, and he raised his hand and he said, "Excuse me." So the reciter stopped. He said, "Yes." He said, "The flowers were not white, they were red in color." So he says, "What do you mean?" This is written here in the Ramayana, and you are saying. He says, "It may be written, but I was personally present there." Valmiki was not personally present. I was personally present. I saw them red. So there was an argument. Hanuman was saying that it is red, and the person who was reciting says, "Well, I cannot accept your statement because Valmiki cannot be wrong. He is a sage. How can I? If this thing is wrong, then there will be some other things also wrong." So he says, "No, I don't." He says, "What do you mean you don't believe me? I am the witness. Why don't you believe me?" So there was a heavy argument between them. And then the katha stopped there. He said, "We have to decide it. We cannot move further." And the flowers were white or they were red. So they did not come to any conclusion because both were arguing. Hanuman was very adamant of of his own experience, and this guy was very adamant that the sage cannot be wrong. So finally they said, okay, let's go to Sita. Because she was there and she will know. Because we cannot go to Valmiki, he will say he is right. And you are arguing with me, you will say, right, we have to go to some third party who was actually witness to it. So they said, okay, let's go to Sita and ask her. So they went to Sita and said, Mother, we have a question to you. Please solve our dilemma. He said, what is the question? He says that the flower in the Vatika where you were imprisoned, they were white or they were red? So he says, why are you crying? He says, because the book says they were white and Hanuman says he saw them red. So who is right? So Sita said, both are right. So he said, how is that possible? They can be either white or they can be red, they cannot be both. So he said, no, both are right. Hanuman is right, Valmiki is also right. So they said, you are now bringing something even more unbelievable decision. How can they be both? So he says the thing is that the flowers were white. Valmiki is right, because I saw them white. So then how Hanuman is right? He says Hanuman is also right, because Hanuman was angry at that time. When he saw me imprisoned, his blood was boiling. He was so angry, seeing my plight, that his eyes became red. And because his eyes were red, he was only seeing them red. So he is right. As far as he is concerned, the flowers were red. But actually they were white. So both are right. So therefore, what he is saying in this verse is, Jagat dhanmayam lubdha, those who are greedy for wealth, then for them only wealth is important. They only see wealth everywhere. Which means they want to see how can they make money. They calculate everything in relationship with wealth. They value only wealth. They only look for an opportunity how to make money. And those who are for sexual pleasure, men, kamuka, lusty men, then everywhere they only see women. Their mind will only go there. So that it is because a bhakta, his mind is fixed on God, so then he perceives the presence of God in everything. Iti yathayam prahaladascha stambhayapi bhagavantam apashyat. So he mentions, he says, just like this Prahlada, he also saw Nrsimhadev inside the pillar. Now how can there be Nrsimhadev inside the pillar? It's impossible. He is so big, and if such a big person is inside the pillar will crack. But he was saying, he was bigger than pillar in size, could not be contained in the pillar. But this is the meaning of bhav. Then he saw it. So iti sararth darshinyam Harshinyam Bhakta Chetasam Saptame Saptamodhyaya Samnata Samnata. This way, and a commentary on the 7th chapter of 7th Canto. So in this chapter we actually read the story which Prahlad tells. Because in chapter 6 he had said that he had heard all this from Narada, and the question was raised, where did he hear this from Narada? And then he described how his mother was captured by Indra. And then Narada came and got her released and took her to her ashram. And that's where Narada instructed Prahlad's mother, and Prahlad heard it. Although the mother forgot everything, he remembered it. So now the 8th chapter begins. When they heard all this from Prahlad, they were all converted. So this was power of Prahlad, that it changed everybody's mind by his preaching. So they are sitting in the classroom and Prahlad is lecturing them. The teachers were not there. So he gave them a big lecture on Bhakti, and everybody became convinced. So then they all started doing kirtan. Prahlad was leading the kirtan and all the students are following him. So at that time the teachers came and they saw what is this going on. So they realized that now we are in real trouble. Earlier it was only Prahlad who was speaking all this. And when Prahlad was taken to his father, then he told them, father asked what is the best education you have learned, and he said, Bhakti. So Hiranyakasipu was very upset and he sent him back, and then Prahlad was brought back and he asked the question, he said the same thing, and then he said, okay, kill him. They tried to kill him, but they were not successful, so he was brought back to the Gurukula. But now the teachers are thinking he is not only he is spoiled, he has spoiled everybody. And before this complaint goes to the king, Hiranyakasipu, in our life is in danger, let's go and tell him. So that way he will be safe. So this is what will be described in this chapter, that they actually hear these students chanting, doing kirtan. And the Daitya teachers, Shanda Amarka, they go and complain to Hiranyakasipu. And Hiranyakasipu, he calls them that you go and bring Prahlad here. And then the whole story of Nrsingadeva appearance comes. So Prahlad is a good preacher to convert all these Daityas into devotees. So Narada Vacha. Narada is the one who is describing this story to Yudhishthira, if you remember, from the very first chapter. This whole dialogue is happening in the assembly of Yudhishthira Maharaj, where this Rajasuya Yajna was performed, and Krishna had killed Shishupal. That's how the whole dialogue came into being. So Narada Vacha Atha Daitya Suta Sarve Shritva Tadanuvarnitam Jagruhu Nirvadyatvat Tvannaiva Guruvam Shikshitam. So when the sons of the Daityas, they heard this from Prahlad, what he had described, they accepted it without any doubt. They were convinced and they rejected what their gurus were teaching them. Naiva Guruvam Shikshitam. So they were more convinced by Prahlad's talk than the talk of their teachers who have been lecturing them every day. So they said that this person makes sense. So therefore they decided to follow Bhakti, and was propounded by Prahlad. So Vishnu Chakravarti gives the essence of this chapter in one verse. Ashtame swasutam hantum aham stambham rusasuraha stambhottha stamahan sakshad nrsimho devatai stutaha. So the 8th chapter describes how the asura, out of anger, he hit the pillar to kill his son. And then from the pillar there was a big sound, and Lord Nrsimhadev appeared, who is then praised, glorified by the Devas. So when the boys, they were convinced by Prahlad and they started following Bhakti, then the Acharya's son, 2 sons of Sukracharya, they became alert. Acharya sutas tesham buddhi mekanta sansthitam alaksha bhitas parito radya vedayad yatha. So when they saw that children, their mind was set on Bhakti, then they became completely scared. Obviously they were scared because everybody was scared of Hiranyakashipu, and Hiranyakashipu has given very stern orders to them that I don't want to hear anything about Vishnu or Vishnu Bhakti from this Prahlad. Train him like that. But now, what to speak of Prahlad speaking it, everyone else is speaking about it. So they realize that they are completely in danger. Hiranyakashipu will completely smash them. So they thought better we go and inform him that it is beyond our control, we cannot help, your son is spoiling everybody. Don't blame us. Otherwise somebody will go and complain, then Hiranyakashipu will doubt them. So they went to him. And eko mukhyascha sau antah sarvesham cheti ekanto Vishnu bhakti yoga tatra sansthitam. So ekant sanstiti means that they saw that their mind was completely fixed only on Vishnu bhakti, nothing else. So therefore they went to Hiranyakashipu. Srutva tada priyam daityo dussaham tanayanayam kopavesha chalam gatra putram hantum manodadhe. So when Hiranyakashipu heard this, then he could not tolerate. This was intolerable for him. So he immediately said, bring my son. Immediately. And he was so angry. Kopa Vesha Chalab Gatra, that his body was shaking. When a person becomes very angry, then the whole body starts shaking. Because anger disturbs the Vata. So first it disturbs the Pitta, and then it disturbs Vata. So when one is really angry, then the body shakes. So Hiranyakashipu was so angry that Kopa Vesha Chalab Gatra. And then he decided that now he is going to kill his son himself. Usually a king does not kill himself. If there is some criminal person, and it is other people whom he asks to kill, like a judge. Judge does not go and execute somebody. Judge only passes an order. So Hiranyakashipu, the king, he also performs the job of a judge. And there was no need for him to personally kill. Earlier also we saw that he did not try to kill Prahlad himself. He asked his sons that you take him away and kill him. But this time he decides to kill himself. Because he is so angry. He said, this boy just does not deserve to be alive. He's not my son. He felt so much danger because he's only praising the enemy who killed my brother. He's remembering how his brother Hiranyaksha was killed. And he said, this Vishnu, he is like a magician. He comes in different forms. He can come like a boar, comes 400 form. He says, now I have to kill this boy because it doesn't belong to us. So I will stop here and we will read how he will question him and then try to kill and meet his own end in the process. So if there is any question on this.
How do you tackle envy in Bhakti? Fear, anger, things like that?
What is envy?
It's an emotion.
Yeah, so you have to go back to the root cause of emotion. Why do you have it?
So you have to do that on your own.
Yeah. It's your emotion.
And how do you do that? You meditate on it?
And this is what he's saying, that you envious of somebody. He's saying that that person is also manifestation of God. And if I have not love, at least respect for God, if I accept Him, then I'm not envious of this person. And that of course does not mean that if that person is going to harm me, I don't protect myself. So it's like Lord Nrsingadev, he will kill Hiranyakashipu, but he is not envious of him. Hiranyakashipu is envious because he is thinking that these people are my enemies. They will harm me, they will kill me. But Hiranyakashipu is not seeing, he is seeing that he is a disturbance, so he will kill him, but not, and he will also get angry, but not envious. So that when he says, Atmapannena sarvatra tavikshanam, that seeing the Lord everywhere. So if we can understand theoretically that everybody is a manifestation of God's energy, the body is manifestation of His external energy and the person is manifestation of His tapastha energy, and these energies belong to Him, then I don't become envious. So the way to tackle it.
So you mentioned about Baba. So how do you translate in English Baba? Like mood or feeling? Or?
Yeah, awareness, consciousness, mood, temperament.
So, in the 6th chapter, several times Prabhupada speaks of devotion to Vishnu, and then at the end is of devotion to Govinda. What was he seeing then in the pillar? Vishnu, Govinda, or the angry Nrsingadev? In his angry mood?
Yes. Well, sometimes it is written that he was seeing him smiling. He was seeing what appeared in front of him. But he is devotee of Nrsingadev.
So then how is it that at the very end as a conclusion he says exclusive devotion Ananya Bhakti to Govinda?
Because Govinda and Nrsingadev are not different. So when it is said exclusive devotion to Govinda, if you are devotee of Ram, that is fine, or Nrsingadev. Ananya Bhakti means that not that you worship him and then you worship some other devas, who are not Vishnu Tattva. A devotee of Vishnu exclusively, that is fine. But that is Krishna himself manifest in that form. But if you consider someone else as Vishnu, that is permanent.
So to this point that was made earlier about seeing the Lord according to one's mood, or seeing even the Lord in every being according to the mood, then.
Yes.
So that, how does that happen?
Well, when you have the bhava, it happens.
You practice that, or it just happens to you?
So when bhava is there, then it is naturally happening. That is the meaning of bhava. The word bhava literally means existence. That's what the word bhava means. Bhava means existence. So it means that that's your existence now. That's what you are made of. But when we are not at that level of bhava, that's why bhava bhakti. And then before that is sadhana bhakti, it's practice. So then we have to do practice to come to the bhava. Because obviously we don't have that bhava. We want it. That's all desirable. That's all sadhya. So that's what we do sadhana bhakti. So sadhana bhakti means theoretically we understand and we try to practice.
Now when Prahlad advises us or living entities to see the Lord everywhere as one who love the Lord, treat every living entity as one would treat oneself, and that is devotion. Does that create power? What kind of power? Neutral?
That depends.
Shankara?
That depends what you are trying to follow.
So that means even on that level I have to follow a distinct sadhana?
Yeah, and this is just one thing he has said. Before that he also told about Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam, Vachanam, Bandhanam, Dasam, Sakhi, Matam, Nivedam. This is a simple thing he said. At least this, you cannot do anything else, do this much. So that way you will not be offensive to one devotee and ultimately to the Lord.
This sounds like a really wide and general instruction.
Yeah, general instruction. But specific instruction also is given.
And just following this general instruction,
Then you will come to the specific.
that leads you to the specific. What about if someone follows a specific, as we do,
In general will come
without
out.
really being, see Paramatma or Krishna?
That also, if you follow specific, means you are worshipping a specific form of the Lord. As you progress, then you will get that power and then you will see. That's why in the 11th Canto it is described that one worships the form, and then Uttam Bhagavata is one who sees Sarvabhuta Sriya Pashyad Bhagavad Bhavamatma, that one who sees his own bhava in everything. So that is, progression has to happen.
So
It's
the-
like if you have, once I was long ago seeing in India, they are very fond of cricket. So this seeing cricket match sometimes when I was, I think, going from this building to the other one, everybody is watching, so I also went. And then I don't remember who was that, but some cricket player, he was batting. Now he was